Welcome back to the Adaptive Athlete Podcast. I'm your host, Matt Hotho. On today's episode, we're talking with Sam Wapshare. Sam is a neuromuscular moderate athlete, and he has cerebral palsy affecting the right side of his body. If you haven't picked up on it yet, all throughout the month of March, we're featuring athletes with cerebral palsy on our Monday episodes because March is CP Awareness Month. I am so excited to talk to Sam. Sam is a fellow competitor of mine and a good friend, and I'm just really glad he's on the pod. Sam, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. It is so good to see you. Sam and I are both actually in the same division, neuromoderate. So I don't know, man. It's just like a good friendship. Like it just feels like reconnecting with an old friend. There's something about, and I'm sure those of you who are in like upper 2-point or other divisions, when you meet competitors that are in your division, you just form a brotherhood or a friendship with them. So Sam, I'm really glad you're on the podcast. Tell me a little bit about your journey into adaptive fitness.
I didn't really work out at all till I was I think I was 22. And my sister, she decided one year for Christmas to get me a month-long pass to a boot camp when I was living in Dallas. It was kind of very passive-aggressive and rude, okay? And I fought her because I was like, why did you get this for me? And I ended up using it probably 8 months after she finally she got it for me, and I finally went. And then I got hooked. And so I did boot camp classes for 2 years. Then I got bored of boot camp classes. So then I just tried CrossFit in 2017 or 2018. And it was way more fun just because it was just always something different every single time.
Yeah.
And I just did it for just because it was just so much fun for 2-3 years. And then right around when COVID happened, I was like, oh, I'm actually pretty strong if I actually try. And so then I got into lifting heavier. And when I finally hit a 300-pound deadlift, I was jumping for joy and excitement. And then I eventually got into doing adaptive through wheel wad because one of the coaches at the gym that I was at the time, she was doing work. She did a conference, and it involved Alex Zeberich with Adaptive Training Academy, Kevin Ogar, and Logan Aldridge. She actually took me to their certification for half a day, and I had met them back before COVID. I was like, oh crap, this is actually cool to see all the different, because for me growing up adaptive, I wasn't adaptive in my head. I didn't really consider myself adaptive till I was 25, 26.
Mm-hmm.
And then I did the wheel wad open for the first time. That's how I got started, and it's just a joy.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about your impairment. What do you have? I mean, I know you've told me that growing up you thought it was something different, but let's start with what you have, and then let's talk about growing up with it.
Okay, so I have cerebral palsy, and growing up with it, my family referred to it as just right side weakness because they wanted me to think that there was nothing wrong. And so I never thought of myself as adaptive for the longest time. And so it was just right side weakness for me. And so it affects only my right side. We're both, all the hemis I met are all right side hemis. Have we met a left side hemi yet?
I've never met a lefty hemi, no.
I lied. I did meet a lefty hemi through work. She had her stroke in her 50s, and she was like, oh, did you have a stroke? And I was like, oh, that's kind of weird to ask.
I'm a quote Lady Gaga here and say I was born this way.
Was yours in utero? Because my stroke was in utero.
We think it was during delivery.
Okay. Did you have the umbilical cord?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wrapped around my neck. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm wondering because they said it was in utero, but I also had the umbilical cord wrapped around my neck, so it could have been that also.
So growing up though with right side weakness, I mean, sure, you didn't have a label for it. You wouldn't go around saying you had CP, but you could tell, right, that you weren't building muscle on your right side like you could on your left, right? I mean, I know we weren't bodybuilding in middle
Yeah.
school or anything, but you could just tell, right? It felt different.
Yeah, it felt different, and because, like, I wasn't, like, a very active kid, like, I had, like, the pain in, like, my arm and leg for, like, not moving. I don't know about you, but, like,
Hmm.
when I, like, take more than, like, a couple days off, like, my right side can, like, tense up super badly, and it hurts like a capital B.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so, like, I had that a lot as a kid, and I didn't think I was just like, "Oh, okay, this is just normal." So, I never thought it was anything different.
Yeah, it's sort of like you just get used to the spasticity, right? You just get used to
Yeah,
the pain that comes from it. And then growing up with it, you don't realize that that's not normal.
yeah, I didn't even know what spasticity was till I was, like, in my, like, 20s,
Oh,
like
100%. Yeah, I didn't have language like that either.
yeah,
Yeah.
I, like, didn't know, like, what that was till I was an adult.
So growing up then, like kind of with it labeled right side weakness, you didn't think anything was weird about it, but you also did you think you could do anything to change it? Or was it not until you really started doing like fitnessy stuff that you were like, oh, I can actually do way more with this side of my body than I thought?
I took this class in college called Disability and Society. That was like a good like, oh, hey, there is so much about like disability history that like no one knows about in this country at all. But I remember asking my professor at this time this question, and I'm like laughing at myself now. And I was like, could someone ever be like disabled and then lose the title disabled like at some point? That's like how like delusional I like kind of was about it, like because like I
Like you
just
could fix it.
yeah, I thought it could be fixed, and you can only do your best to mitigate and adapt.
Yeah, I want to sit on that for a second, actually, because there's times when I don't know if, I mean, that kind of fallacy runs through my head, right? Of like,
Yeah.
oh, if I just do the right strength program, or I just like do the right number of cardio EMOMs, like it'll all even out, right?
Yeah, I still have like that Delulu in me a little bit
Yeah.
because I can like move like a barbell like just as good as like a lot of like able-bodied folks. Like I can like cycle deadlifts probably better than most people. And like I can cycle like decent weight on like a power clean probably better than a lot of like able-bodied folks, or like shoulder overhead cycling. I can do that with, even though like my right arm lockout is like bizarre because it doesn't allow me to. You know that your lockout probably the same since we're having.
Yes.
I've never looked at your lockout though. Um, but
You
like
don't lock eyes with me during competition, Sam? I'm
I I
shook.
I am sorry, I missed that opportunity.
It's okay. Yeah, we both have soft lockouts on our right arms, right?
Yeah,
Because of a tight
yeah,
tricep
yeah,
or something with our elbow, we
and it's
can't.
like a yeah.
Yeah. And especially when we're pressing overhead quickly. I just did DT this morning. So actually, when we're pressing overhead quickly, it gets worse because the spasticity gets worse under velocity. So the
Yup.
harder we actually try and press it, the less it's going to lock out. This isn't a
Yeah.
video podcast, so it's hard to tell. But I mean,
Yeah.
picture a ref doing field goal and then just go up about 15 degrees. And that's about the limit of lockout we have on our
Mhm.
right arms, on our affected arms, unless we widen our grip severely, which, as everybody knows, you lose power once you widen your grip that much.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, but like so I have that delulu in me that like, oh, maybe at some point like I can, but like in all reality, like that's never gonna happen. Just like I'm never gonna be doing like handstand push-ups, nor do I
yeah,
ever want to do handstand push-ups or bar muscle ups, for example. Like that's never gonna happen. I think you have to like have like a point in time where you like have that come to Jesus moment with yourself and be
mhm,
like, okay, I'm okay with this. And like I think I've had that come to Jesus moment where like I know what my limitations are and I'm okay with that now.
yeah,
At first I was not.
yeah. And I think there's an odd acceptance that we have to do, right? This part of the
Yeah.
journey in some ways.
Hmm.
Um, and then I don't know if you run into this, but kind of avoiding the comparison trap. Like after you do that acceptance work, like almost just turning off Instagram for a while to let that acceptance kind of bake in. Because the
Yeah.
minute you see somebody doing something, you're like, oh my gosh, like, yeah,
And the comparison trap is really, really really hard in like a CrossFit gym, even though it's one of the most toxic things you can do, because especially for adaptive folks, because you're doing workouts with almost all able-bodied folks.
Mm-hmm.
And when you put yourself in comparison track, and you have to remember that there is like a limitation on what you can do, and you have to like pace differently because of your central nervous system and how it will react to like different combinations of movements. And like if you go out too hot, like the effect can be like 10 times worse than what it is for like an able-bodied person. So like the comparison trap can be very, very, very toxic for your own like physical and mental health.
100%, 100%. So while we're talking about kind of being in the gym, what are some
Mhm.
ways that coaches have helped you, maybe as you've begun to understand your own limitations through your central nervous system or your neuromuscular kind of functioning? How has a coach been able to help you adapt some things?
So just by like learning, like every day is like a learning, because like some days are going to be great when you can like hit everything that you have every intent on doing. But then there are going to be some days where, oh, like I was having a really good double under day on Monday, but come like Friday, something's up with your like nervous system, and like you can barely do single unders.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you have this problem, but I do, where like some days where I'm like, I'm feeling it, I got it, and I'm like doing fantastic. But then there's some days where I take 5 steps backwards, and like my right leg won't like work the way that it did earlier in the week. Do you have that problem?
I have that more so with pulling movements. I think upper
Okay.
body pulling, where I can do big sets of pull-ups and like some kipping chest to bar. And I'm like, oh,
Uh-huh.
sweet, like bar muscle ups are in the cards, right? Like that's been a
Yeah.
dream of mine. Um, and then I'll come in another day and it's like my right arm has no sensation to pull or, hang even and really want to do a whole lot. Um, that is frustrating.
Yeah, I will have that too with like my right arm with some things, because like it will happen with snatching, for example. Like, and
Mm,
like I've like even had one time when I was like doing very light hang snatches in like a competition. It was like gym competition I was doing, and I couldn't even do like a 65-pound snatch because like my right arm would just collapse when I was
yeah.
trying, and my brain was just like done.
So how
But
have how have coaches helped you through that?
just by like learning every time like what could be like some triggers, and like knowing what they are in advance, to be like, oh hey, this ain't gonna go so well, so let's do this instead. Or, oh hey, this, you should be doing this on the side extra. And just like recently, like I've been doing some stuff that like did as like a kid in physical therapy. Like, did you ever do like the finger touching
Hmm.
thing? Been doing that, and like single leg hops on with like holding on to the rig. I feel like an idiot when I'm doing them because I look
Yeah,
like, but just like, because can you jump on just like your right leg?
I can. Yeah.
Okay. I I can't do that just by myself. I have to like grab onto the rig to do it.
Okay.
And so like I feel like such an idiot when I'm doing that, because it's just like, oh, certain like identifying stuff like that, and like knowing like the right adaptations for the right
Yeah.
stimulus. Because like lunges, for example, there are some days where lunges are going to be great, and then some days where it's just like, you should not be lunging at all. Let's do some squats.
Yeah. 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 There's been days definitely like that. And my coach has been really helpful at kind of saying, okay, if this workout, if we don't want to get buried on the lunges in this workout because that's not the stimulus, do squats
Mhm.
here. Right.
Yeah,
Or
it's
do something else.
yeah, it's all like the individual conversations you have with the coach, and
Mhm.
like making sure that you have a coach that actually understands that, or is like willing to learn to understand.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's talk about something that you're really good at, which is weightlifting.
Hmm.
What's one of your favorite weightlifting workouts or favorite things that you do in the gym with the barbell?
Like my favorite like workout of all time is just the CrossFit Total, because it's 3 1 rep maxes like back to back to back.
Okay.
and that's just like my favorite thing.
And
I
let's just really put you on blast because you are a strong
Yeah,
athlete. What is your CrossFit total?
I think the highest I've gotten is like either like 937 or like 942.
And that's CrossFit total is deadlift, back squat, and
Strict
press.
press.
Yeah.
Yeah, strict press. Yeah. Um, and I I used to have the goal of 1000, but now I honestly don't care about hitting 1000 anymore because like I don't think I need to get any stronger any like with like individual one rep maxes. I don't think I need to like get like yeah, it would be great to get stronger in that,
Hmm.
but like it's not going to have like the risk the reward ratio to get stronger there. It's not going to have the same reward. And I also used to want to do like a 500-pound deadlift, but I don't want to snap my spine in half
Sure,
though.
sure, sure. Yeah.
I've given up on that.
Yeah.
But that's like my favorite, just because it's just so much fun. I it's probably like is it one of your favorites or least favorites?
Barbell stuff. I don't know if I have a favorite in the gym. That's why I'm the one asking the questions.
Yeah.
No, I think when it comes to stuff in the gym, I like cardio stuff because I
Mhm.
think at a certain point I can use my height, my limb levers to sort of compensate for my weakness on the right side, and I can hold
Yeah.
my own pretty well. Like we just did a 5K row the other day, and I
Yeah.
placed, fifth among all the guys in the gym, which is just
Yeah.
like we'll take that, like and at moments like that, it does frustrate me because I'm like, oh my gosh, all that fitness, and if only I were like able-bodied, right? Like
Yeah.
there's times I don't know if you've had moments like that where you do like something really cool, and then you're like, that was really cool, and damn it, if only I could,
I could You have no. That's like I, especially because like Hemis, like we pass as like able-bodied, like
yeah,
sometimes because like sometimes like I've had friends that like didn't even notice like till like 6 months later, like into our friendship, where they're like, "Is everything okay with like your arm?" And I'm like, "Oh, we're gonna have this conversation now."
yes, yes,
And but like I have that toxic like if only I was able-bodied because like it can be like very toxic to like go through that. Like I would be so freaking good. And
yeah,
I actually said because like I'm like a bigger build guy. Like I said this like a couple like maybe I've said this a couple of times, but I was like, if I was able body, I probably would have been like a big douchebag, like a football like douchebag, like just because I'm a bigger build guy. So I would have been a jerk probably.
I mean, you're not wrong in some ways in the sense of how you're thinking about like what being disabled does to our psyche, right?
Yeah,
Like how it formed us, how it shaped us in some ways into our perspective on the world, our perspective towards others, maybe giving us hopefully a little bit of empathy, a little
yeah.
bit of kindness. Like you don't often run into disabled people that are total jerks. So let's talk about the 2023 Wheel Games.
Okay.
We were both there. I
Yep.
would love to hear one or two of your favorite memories from those games. They were smaller. There were about 9 heats, I think 120 something athletes or 102 athletes.
So that was my second time at Wheelwad Games. I thought it was just a blast. I thought that like the neuromod guys were we just had like a really good group of guys and like everyone like got along super well and we were like even though we were competing with each other, we like got along really well and there wasn't like that like toxicness and everyone just wanted everyone to do their best and
Hmm.
that's the whole spirit of what it all should and was about. My favorite moment probably from that was like when it was over, just because like I had like hurt my back like a week and a half before, just on a rower, just like
Oh, wow.
I hurt my back like a week and a half before. So I was just like, when we got back to the Airbnb, like I had my heating pad going and like was constantly bio freezing my back like the whole time. Like it flared up super hard
Oh, no.
in the farmer carry because I was like, I'm gonna beat all these guys on the farmer carry because this is like strong man. I got this. I got this.
Yeah, yeah.
And then back flared up like no tomorrow. And
Oh,
I was like, son of a bee sting. And because I was like, ooh, it's gonna be double. And Dustin probably was like, please not be double, please not be double. But I was like hoping for double because like,
That would have been a completely different workout if it had been double, if it had been a double carry.
and also it would have helped my back for the workout because you would have had to keep a
Yeah,
more like,
upright posture.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, but that I was thought that was going to be my favorite, but it was actually like my least favorite. And my favorite should have been the deadlift, but I screwed up with my math there.
I don't know what you're talking. Oh, yeah. We're rooting for you on that one, Sam. All the
I know
boys,
you
all
guys
the
were.
boys. George, if you're listening to this, sorry, but we're rooting for Sam on that one. We needed him to wedge in there and get some points from you. It's okay.
Sorry, we tied. My bad.
It's okay. All right, so let's go to a lightning round real quick. So, would you rather do a short, sprinty workout or like a grindy couplet? So, like maybe, I don't know, Annie, but we modify the double unders to be single unders. So, sit ups and singles,
Okay.
or Fran, and we
Uh,
modify the thruster weight. And maybe we do ring rows. Like, assume both are modified or adapted.
so if we adapted, then like Fran to like either like jumping, but I would say keep the thruster weight because I would be.
Savage. You can't have both, Sam.
I I
I'm just
I
kidding.
I
You
can.
can. You can have it all. Okay, all right. So you would go with Fran, 135-pound barbell or 95-pound barbell, and
95,
95
135.
pound
I'm not a
barbell,
mathicist,
and
okay?
jumping pull-ups. Might be. All right. If you were king for a day and could pick the music at the gym, what would everybody be listening to?
It would be like a emo punk playlist.
Yes, I love
Yeah,
it. I
yeah,
love it.
yeah.
I love how we had that sprint workout at the 2023 games, and you were like, "How long should this take?" And I was like, "About to the bridge of all the small things" by Blink
Yeah,
182.
and that was like perfect. That workout actually made me quite happy because like I was like, oh my god, my cardio has gotten so much better because I was like right in like the middle of the pack with that one, so I was
Yeah,
like pretty happy with that one.
nice. All right, and then you were telling me a story before we got on about how you got to see the Tony Award-winning Broadway show In the Heights with Lin-Manuel Miranda. How did that
Yeah,
happen?
did a high school trip to New York City with like my international club in high school, and I didn't even know what In the Heights was because like I was like 16, and it's honestly probably like the best musical I've ever seen. The music is phenomenal in it. Have you listened to like the original like Broadway?
Uh-huh.
Like I have that on vinyl, and
Yeah.
like
Wow.
it's phenomenal. And just Lin Manuel Miranda like performing live was really awesome. Before he was Lin Manuel Miranda, like that was before he became like a household name.
Yeah, yeah. I was shocked when I was getting into Hamilton and I would tell some people, "Oh, have you guys heard Hamilton?" And they go, "Oh, you mean Lin-Manuel Miranda from In the Heights?" And I was like, "What are you talking about?" And so then I
Yeah,
went back and listened to In the Heights, and then the movie came out, and I mean, it was just a great movie. It's so much fun to watch. If any of you guys are into Broadway stuff, man, like,
yeah.
yeah,
No
In the Heights is
Diga,
good.
No Diga,
Yeah,
like that is like just hysterical.
yes.
All the music, a lot of the music in the musical is actually pretty funny.
All right. Well, as we get ready to kind of wrap up the podcast, if you could go back and talk to that 16, 17, 18-year-old kid who was told he had right side weakness, what would you tell him to encourage him?
Get off your lazy rear end sooner rather than later, because if like I actually like started like really like working out at like a younger age, I probably wouldn't have had like the pain and like the spasticity that I had like for a while because it went away as soon as like I started working out. And hey, just have fun. That's all. Because
Mhm.
like when you have fun with it, it can be fun if you're willing to like let it be fun.
Yeah, I mean, right. It is fun to kind of figure out what our bodies can do.
Yeah, and not be like so pigeonholed and like, oh, I can't do that. Yes, you can. Because like when I first started at CrossFit, like I was like, oh, I'm never gonna snatch. I couldn't even like power clean when I first started, so I was only doing high. Have you ever done like the sumo high pulls?
Yeah.
I hate that as a movement, but that's what I was doing instead of cleans.
Oh, wow.
Because I couldn't get like my right wrist to move over and get like under.
Yeah.
So just like have fun and like realize that like, oh, working out could be fun is like a good lesson that I would have told my younger self.
All right. And then one final question. If you've got any, if there's any coaches listening to this who coach adaptive athletes or want to coach adaptive athletes, what would you encourage them about coaching someone like you or like me with CP?
To just take it like day by day and like movement by movement, because things change every day, but like you don't know how a single person could react to like how their body is going to do with the movement. So you just have to be patient and like learn what they're capable of and what you think that they can be capable of, because what they're actually capable of is probably much more than what they think they're capable of. I know that's like cheesy, but
No, man, that's so true though, right? You need a coach in your corner who's going to tell you, I believe that you can do this.
Yeah.
Because once someone believes you can do it, it'll help you believe that you can do it.
Yeah.
And then you're going to do it.
Yeah. And if you're willing to like put in the work and actually have the patience, you're going to do it. It's just a matter of time.
Well, awesome, Sam. Thanks so much for being on the podcast. It was good to see you, dude.
Good to see you too.
All right. I'll talk to you later.
Talk to you later.
Thanks so much for joining us for this episode of the Adaptive Athlete Podcast. I really enjoyed how Sam talked about managing expectations and frustrations, and as you've heard on multiple episodes now, dealing with that comparison trap that comes when we either compare ourselves to other adaptive athletes or to other able-bodied athletes in the gym with us. I like how Sam raised the value of supportive coaches and scaling that is personalized to the adaptive athlete. Those sorts of things help adaptive athletes, and in this case, helped Sam go further in his journey. Whether it was doing sumo deadlift high pulls instead of power cleans until he learned how to power clean, or gradually building up in his deadlift weight and in his strength overall to actually become one of the strongest athletes in our division. All that happened because of coaching and because of people who were willing to work with an adaptive athlete like Sam. So if you're an adaptive athlete or if you coach adaptive athletes, I would love for you to do two things. One, go share this podcast episode with somebody who might work with an adaptive athlete or who might benefit from stepping into a CrossFit gym. And second, subscribe to the podcast so you can get more of these episodes as they come out, as we share the stories of these adaptive athletes in our community. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Matt Hotho. I'll see you next time.